So I'm Miriam, I'm the president of Team True Beauty, and I'm a journalist.
I am Shantel Vansanten, and I'm an actress. I guess most people know me for One Tree Hill. I was on there for a few seasons, and now I am currently filming Gang Related for Fox.
So I'm super excited that you guys have offered to do this with us. Proud and Pretty in Pink is a company that works to educate girls on body image, self-esteem, and sexual health education. My sister and I 2 years ago started this event called Holiday in Pink, and we raise money for an organization called Bday. They are a movement to end violence against women and girls, and we're incredibly passionate about it. We've had some women that are very close to us in our lives experience rape, and it kind of was like a no-brainer when we just wanted to figure out who we were going to raise money for. So I kind of wanted to have the conversation with you guys. Why is it important for you to empower women, for you to help women understand their worth and kind of like strive for the best in life?
First of all, I want to say thank you, because
thank you.
Anybody that is reaching out to women and letting them know that they're not alone, and is starting organizations or helping organizations that just uplift one another and support women in general, I think are so wonderful. And Team True Beauty, which I'm the ambassador to, they came to me and asked me to be a part of. Really, we wanted to create, we always say, a movement. We're not a charity. We're about raising awareness, and we're about empowering one another, and we're about just focusing on the individual, because really that's where everything stems from. What kind of person you are, and what kind of life you live, and the things you've been through, the experiences that life gives us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we're all these spiritual beings, and we're living in this human existence, and we get these lessons, and sometimes we feel like, why am I given this? Like, why this life feels so hard, and this body, and this, you know what I mean? And it's all about this image instead of a reflection of your soul. So really, Team True Beauty was about shining from the inside out and letting girls know that, like, it's on the inside. It's who you are as your soul, not this human form. Because once your insides are in place, then your outsides reflect that.
Absolutely.
And so when Miriam had asked me to be a part of it, it felt like a no-brainer for me too. It was something that I feel every girl I know has struggled with their image, whether they are in middle school. I just saw this 10-year-old girl who's a cousin of mine, and she's like, I'm scared, like, girls are mean. And I don't know what to tell her, other than, like, you're right, they are, but like, how about instead, like, you just know that that's kind of how they feel about themselves, and just be as nice as you can to them, to my mom, you know what I mean, who struggles with, well, the woman I work with, I think, like, she's jealous of me, and that's why she's mean. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have, like, this huge spread of ages of people who are struggling, not only with themselves, but the experiences in life that they've been dealt, and with what you guys are dealing with. There's a lot of stories in my life that hit very close to home with abuse, sexual abuse and stuff. So, and women in my life, and I've seen how it's affected them, and it just adds, to it all. So any amount of support and structure that we can give to empower and uplift and support and create this safe environment where we get to have conversations is kind of why we started Team True Beauty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so important for girls to not let the number on a scale define them, because scale, it doesn't measure your beauty inside, it doesn't measure your intelligence or your soul or your integrity and all that goodness inside of you. So we just encourage that they try to develop an identity that doesn't just rely on what you look like on the exterior, because it's all going to change. We're all going to get older someday, and you don't want to lose yourself one day if you focus on that. And we also, kind of touching base on what she said, I think sometimes we go through these things because there's so many pressures from the outside. There's this, I think it can be so toxic when we try to fit into what the standard of perfect is, because who gets to define that?
Absolutely.
For us? And I think, we can become really vulnerable to the pressure of what society tries to define as perfect.
Right.
You have to look a certain way, or you have to have this nice car, or and it starts, like she said, when you're 10 years old, and it goes on.
It still happens. My sister was talking to me the other day about, like, a picture on Instagram, and she was like, it was in French, and I translated it, and they said, like, oh my gosh, she's not perfect. She has small boobs. And I was like,
Talk
yeah,
about you.
you're right. But like, oh my
who
gosh.
cares?
No, but I'm so happy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I like being like normal, and I like
Yeah.
getting to define like a different kind of beautiful.
Yes.
Like you define a certain kind of beautiful. She decided, you know, it's all so different,
Right.
and every person has something different, and so people, it's so funny because I'm like, oh, so people, those girls equate beauty to having big boobs, or and it's funny, as a younger girl, I did too. I thought like, I'm not feminine, I'm not a woman because I don't have big boobs, and like instead I get to define like a different kind of beautiful for the girls that don't have boobs. I don't have a boob job, you know what I mean? Like I'm not, it's just one of those things where it's funny because it still comes to me, but now that I'm older, if I was younger, that would have destroyed me. I would have thought like, oh my gosh, like I need to get boobs, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like when you're younger, I used to pray for them every night. I'd like do exercises, and I'm like, I need to have boobs, right? And it's just funny as you get older, you know, things change, and now there's different things that I'll be insecure about, and that's all the world. But really, it has to be, and it has to come from working on ourselves,
Yes.
and it's one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every day brings something new, and it's new experiences, it's new lessons, it's, you know, growing beyond and breaking through and transforming.
Yes, absolutely. Perfectly said. I think, you know, when we do our programs, so we basically go and we work with organizations and groups of girls. The biggest we've done so far was a group of 67. So it's like a ton of girls,
Yeah.
a ton of different bodies and looks and opinions and all that stuff. And I have them talk about their body insecurities in front of the other girls, because on a cheer squad, like they are, they don't necessarily know that they're struggling with the same things. And for whatever reason, teenage girls think they go through it by themselves. And it's like, we're still even going through it as grown women, and teens do it. And so it's really cool to like see their eyes open when they see the girl next to them feeling the exact same way about her stomach.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
That's what we get so many times on Twitter and through emails. They're like, thank you for that actress sharing her story, because I don't feel alone anymore.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, Shantel shared her story. That kicked off a movement of its own.
Right.
Because so many girls are like, oh my gosh, she struggled too, like me, or, you know, this actress struggled. And that's the whole point, I think, of Team True Beauty, is we don't want girls to feel alone.
And we want people to use their voice, like even in the medium of what you're dealing with. Like once we become brave enough and strong enough to tell our story, like, you know, I used to be bulimic, or I was raped, or whatever that it is, there's an influx of people that like all of a sudden you open up something inside of them and they want to share, because they don't want you to feel alone. There's this human compassion, but also they want to connect. Like as human beings, that's what we are meant to do. We are not, yes, we live like an alone existence inside our body, but like the minute you can connect to another human being and know that you're not alone, and know that like your experiences are shared, and maybe somebody else dealt with it in a certain way that works for you, or whatever that it might be, that's been one of the neatest things about the movement, is to like hear these stories from girls, and like I just want to hug them, you know what I mean? And know that like I know you've struggled, and like I know you're strong enough to get through it, and it's amazing to me what we've been able to do, and what I'm sure you guys have been able to do, and the stories you hear, and the lives you touch, and all of that.
It's just, I always say it's so important that we all have a voice and we all have a story, and your voice and your story, they have the power to impact and ignite someone else's life, or light the spark in someone else's life. They can be healing for them, or kind of, if you shared a lesson that can be like, oh, that's a lesson that can save my life as well, or help me in a way. So,
and even if it's just one person, like imagine if in your lifetime you got to save one person's life.
Oh, I know, it's so
like,
huge, right?
That's amazing. And the fact of the matter is, just by opening your mouth and being vulnerable and telling your story, you can connect to another human being and possibly save their life, or just let them know they're not alone. And like it's such a beautiful part of our human existence.
I totally agree.
and we've had storytelling since the beginning of time. People
Oh,
have gathered
absolutely.
around sharing their experiences, and that's how you discover you're not alone.
Right.
And that's how we learn from each other.
Definitely. I totally agree with all that. And the reason that we raise money for Bday, so Bday, again, Proud and Pretty in Pink does not deal with victims of abuse unless it is brought to our attention, and then we will contact the appropriate, person to be able to deal with it. But we are strictly educators and empowerers, I like to say. But with Bday, when we came across it and learned more about it, Eve Ensler is like one of my biggest idols. Like, I think if I can meet one person in the world, it would be her. She's like this amazing woman, and the fact that she has spread awareness and have saved so many lives, and is continuing to, create safe places for women of abuse and children. So it was just like, I want to do even a couple $1,000s that I raise is not a lot, but it is a little bit. And
but
so,
it matters.
Yes.
Like,
and
I want you to know that because
Thank
it's
you.
so funny because, you know, I'm a part of like so many different charities and people are like, yeah, but so what? Like, I can only give $20. I'm like, no,
Yes.
you don't understand. Like, that matters.
Yeah.
Like, that, like, and then if everybody were to, you know what I mean? Like, if one person gives $5, like, it all matters. You know what I mean? And so even though you may think, okay, it's only a couple $1,000s, that's still a lot, you know?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, did you hear that, guys? $20 is definitely wonderful. 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. Yeah, no, and that's, and this year doing it virtually and having wonderful women like you guys on video, and we have like so many sponsors, we have raffles and all that stuff, and all the proceeds are going to Bday. Like, we don't have to take any of that because we aren't having an event. So that's kind of the nice thing about doing it virtually. I kind of wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel and why should people donate to Bday?
Well, I mean, first of all, the United Nations statistic that 1 in 3 girls in their lifetime have been raped or will be, to me, it's just horrifying and heartbreaking. So, and I know that that's what Bday works to end. And so I think, I mean, what's more important?
Yeah.
You know, what's more important than to help a girl who has been sexually abused or brutalized in any way, and help empower her and help her know that that's, you know, that's not her shame, and help decrease that guilt. And I know that Bday does incredible work all over the world, and I love what they do. And I saw a speech given about a woman who went to their city of joy in Congo, and she talked about how in a month, or I think it might have been more than a month, how these girls were transformed. When they first got there, they were so scared, and they didn't, you know, they were just so scared after what happened to them. And then they came out and they're like, I'm ready now. I'm ready to dominate the world. I feel empowered, and so I just think that's incredible if you can empower a girl's life and help her in that way. Because that, I covered an event recently, and Gloria Steinem, who we all know is the leader of all this, and she said to me, she's like, we spend so much money on terrorism, but we don't address this issue, you know, and that's, I think she's right, you know, I think it needs to be addressed.
Yes,
so
absolutely. And so many people don't know about Bday, and it's shocking. Like, when I came across it, I couldn't believe that I hadn't known about it. I feel like it's like our obligation as women, especially women that are empowering other women, to know about stuff like this.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge thing, just raising awareness for this.
The more that we educate ourselves, the more that we can feel empowered and then therefore empower other people. And, you know, I always say that, okay, you know, we should, if you have an attitude of gratitude, you should be giving always, whether it's, you know, giving whatever you can, but especially in this time of year. You know, this time of year for me is all about, you know, giving back, and it's a time of like reflection and thinking about, you know, I'm a faithful woman, so like for me, like how much I've been given, you know what I mean, and the life that I've been given. So for me, in any way that I can ever give back is so wonderful, and I so support women because I understand, you know what I mean. It's, I'm not a guy, so I don't always understand, but for me, you know, seeing so many women in my life and being raised by such a strong, beautiful mother, and having a sister and having an amazing grandmother and this wonderful family of women, I'm all for it. And you know, there's been so many people in my family that have been affected by things, and so I think that we need to educate and we need to empower, and empowering comes from using your voice, whether you are an educator or whether you are someone receiving information, and then and therefore telling your story and educating others. So that's why I think that you should donate and give back and help save someone's life.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I think maybe some people don't understand, is that all the money we donate is going towards that. A huge portion of it goes directly to the women that are affected by rape and violence. And if you look at some of Bday's videos on YouTube, they're literally like, you'll cry, because it's so disturbing. And to take yourself out of your own perfect, safe little life and put yourself into the shoes of a woman who is experiencing horrifying things on a daily basis, it's just like heartbreaking.
I know, and that's the thing. I mean, sometimes we think, oh, we're so far away and here in the U.S., but this is in particular to nations around the world who need to implement laws and need to prosecute people who violate girls, because that's the problem, that doesn't happen. Right?
We had a girl come in and speak for an event through Team True Beauty, and she is from India. Her name is Pranadika, and she talked about how she would go into coffee shops, and she's very bold, and she's amazing, and she would just ask people, like, have you been raped? and people had never been asked this question, and she said that there's like right around like 85 to 90%
In India.
of girls are not only raped, but they're raped by like their uncles and their fathers.
People they trust.
And like when she told me this, I thought, you know, I'm never going to be able to know everything, but meeting people like that and educating myself and knowing what's going on, I can't be ignorant now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely,
And
yes.
and so when you educate yourself and you raise your own awareness of things, it makes the world a better place, because you're then and therefore going to do something. And even if you're just one person and you tell somebody else about it, that's going to light a spark in them. So that's why I always say that, like, the more stories we can tell. Had she never told me that story, I would never have known these things.
Right.
I would never, you know, be able to support her and what she's doing, and I would have a little less fire inside me, you
Right.
know, and so that's why I encourage people always, like, tell your story, because that lit a fire even bigger inside of me, and I'm like, I want to go to India. You know, like, as soon as I'm on hiatus, like, I want to go and I want to help her and I want to help, like, that fight, because I never knew that was happening,
Right, yeah,
you know?
absolutely. No, that's
So educate yourself and go watch the videos, please.
Yes, absolutely. You guys can find all the information on Bday at www.bday.org. You can donate to Bday through Holiday in Pink on our website, proudandprettyinpink.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel all week for more videos,
We
interviews.
should have worn pink.
Behind,
I don't own anything pink.
I know.
I'm wearing kind of pink lips.
Check your bag. Check your bag.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good, because it was so funny. I was going through my closet, I'm like, gray, black, white. This is depressing. I'm going to put on some kind of pink lipstick.
Right, well, and I always wear pink, so I decided to change it up. So
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's wonderful. Yeah, so guys, thank you guys all for participating in Holiday in Pink, watching the videos, educating yourself, like Shantel said. I thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
Miriam and
having us.
Shantel,
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.